In a recent Food and Drug Administration panel vote, it was decided that the health benefits of 4 popular oral contraceptives manufactured by Bayer outweigh blood clot risks, even after emotional testimonials from parents whose daughters died of blood clots as a result of taking the medication. It took a matter of minutes for independent journalists to notice what the FDA apparently did not wish to notice. The 4 panel members who voted in favor of the drug's benefits have ties to Bayer, the drug's manufacturer. Corruption at its worst.
Cozy, right? I mean, listen, I'm not going to pretend, Judge, to be an expert on blood clots and oral contraceptives, but I'm an expert on something else, and that is if you put the people on the panel who are making the decision, part of whose living is responsible to sucking up to the company, they're sure going to find those drugs are perfectly nice. It's corrupt in the worst kind of a way.
No matter how these people voted, there's an act of corruption. Should they really vote on anything in which they have had or are likely to have in the future some financial interest in the outcome? You're talking about human lives here.
And the thing is, Judge, look at the pharmaceuticals as an industry is traded on Wall Street. I mean, these are some of the richest companies out there. Investors are piling their money into the pharmaceutical stocks. Classic defensive play. So really, this should be very easy to reform because, as you just pointed out, it's a distinctive conflict of interest.
Jonathan, should the government be in this business anyway? I mean, if you or I want to take a medication that our doctor says might help us, why should the government interfere with that? Why do we need a Food and Drug Administration?
And, of course, Judge, as you know, we didn't have one until the early part of the 20th century. I disagree with the panel. I don't think it's a question of crony capitalism or corruption, but it's the natural impact of regulation to begin with. We've known for literally decades that millions of people have died waiting for drugs to be approved by the FDA. Here's another example of how when drugs are approved by the FDA, oftentimes, in fact, they're not safe. They're not good to take. But when we have regulators, we outsource our thinking. We allow those regulators and bureaucrats to make those decisions on our behalf, not patients, not doctors
Ellis,
who should.
You know that I agree with Jonathan in terms of the freedom-generated values and of the Constitution. But he does make a good point. The government system doesn't work. It's fraught with corruption, and people die because of it.
Well, yes. I mean, it is fraught with corruption. But let me pull both you and Jonathan back from the edge of the cliff here for a second. I mean, we do want some reasonable people deciding whether this stuff is going to kill us. And hearkening back to the glory days of the 1800s, do you know some of the garbage people used to put in their systems back then?